Okay, it is December 17th. It's Centaur's and my 28th wedding anniversary today. And so we've known each other for 29 years. We met a year before, actually, but we got married a year later. So there you go. And yeah, yesterday, I was just saying, yesterday we did Murmuration of Maestros calls. This is for people who are listening later. This is a Murmuration of Maestros calls with people from the US and Norway and Sweden, right? Lena, you're from Sweden? Yeah, Sweden, yeah. And the UK. So there you go. Okay, so we're going to talk on this one again, like we did yesterday, about the breakthroughs that have happened in 2024. And I'm talking about breakthroughs in consciousness, in energy, in alchemy, in the embodiment of our being, in access to source, those kind of things. So I won't repeat it all because of the call we did yesterday. But we're going to do that right now. So, hi, Christine. Hi, Eliza. We're recording this and going to share it publicly later, just so you know. And we're going to talk about the breakthroughs from 2024. So, yippee. So, as we always do, shall we just line up first and kind of tune in and see what you get about what was the biggest breakthrough in those things: energy, consciousness, beingness, embodiment, sourceness, alchemy in 2024 that you experienced. Okay, here we go. Lining up, tuning in. Okay, all righty. Well, for me, the biggest one, and I got this just before we started this call. Last year, we were working on quantum alchemy. And this year, right now, we're working on transcendent alchemy. And what's the difference between the two? And when I'm writing the book on transcendent alchemy, I'm writing about the difference between that and transformation. So there was transformation, then there was quantum alchemy, then there was transcendent alchemy. What's the difference? I'll just say quick for anybody watching it. So transformation is getting someone to fulfill their potential. So it already exists, and you're helping them to unleash it, to live it, to be it, etc. Quantum alchemy was going to the quantum field of possibilities and activating and actualizing new possibilities and realizing those new possibilities, even either as a person, as a society, as a world, as a consciousness, etc. Transcendent alchemy seems to be operating on a whole different level from that. So there was a bit of surrender in quantum alchemy where you'd kind of let go, but there was still, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this kind of thing. And then, whew, you'd have something new would appear. And with transcendent alchemy, we're still bringing something new through, but there's no steps, there's no rules, there's no process. It's like a whew, it just kind of like rushes through you in this ultra connection, and it transcends everything that's been before and brings through something new. So I think the biggest difference for me between quantum alchemy and transcendent alchemy is that in transcendent alchemy, we're the source of what's becoming. Whereas in quantum alchemy, it pre-existed somewhere in a quantum field. We went and got it and called it forth. So I think this year we've been handed the reins of creation, and we're learning new skills to be creators on new levels of possibility. Uh, that was a bit of a complex thing to start this call with, but I know that you will all understand it because of all the conversations we've had. But anybody listening, if they want to know more, they can ask me. But that's for me this year. That's one of the big things. And even just in the last few weeks, this whole new something has been popping through in transcendent alchemy as to bringing what would appear to be invisible or intangible things alive as sentient, intelligent alchemical forces for the good of life to be active of their own volition. And that's a new skill for me. So really fascinating. So who else? What did you get is the biggest breakthrough for you in these areas in 2024?
I just wanted to comment because just this morning, this like new, what I heard, it was like new form of communication. That sounds very basic. And if we look at it from the 3D, but it's just like what you're talking about, these new skills that are just beyond anything that's there in the spiritual realms and the energy realms. And it was just so like this visceral like download of this new, I mean, how it appeared in my experience was new communication as the umbrella language, but it's like literally a new frequency.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
um it's a new way that light is moving in the matrix or the cosmos. It just it's and I've gone through so many I don't know if I call them reinventions, fluctuations, up, down, learning, up leveling through this whole year.
Yeah.
And I've just come out of another one of those like, incubating moments where I would just thought everything was just so dire. And now it's just like that layer got peeled away and this new download, this new frequency, this new light. And I know it's what I'm meant to bring through, right? It's
Yeah.
what I love asking, what am I sourcing? And I don't have the actual answer to that, except that I know that it's this new light frequency.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just trying to spend time with it and feel it and be it and have conversations with you about these incredible movements. The other question I have is because when you talk about these different levels, I hear my mind saying, I would be so happy if I could just be in quantum alchemy all the time. Like sometimes I'm not there, right? I'm believing that, right? There's a, human in here going, well, you're not that. Um, so is there a way you go through all of them, or you just are up at this new transcendent address all the time?
Oh gosh, no, I don't go shopping quite as that, but or maybe I do because the people I go shopping with find amazing things to buy that are perfect for them. So maybe, but it's
Yes.
I can
effortless.
testify.
Yeah,
Highly recommend shopping with this woman. I can attest to that for sure.
that's right. Hi, Dean and Madeline. By the way, we're going to record this and share it publicly later. So thanks for bringing the Christmas joy. I love it. We're talking about breakthroughs in 2024. So, I love it, Christine.
Had my little Christmas
And
headband.
Julia's Santa's too. So, um, one of the things that this year I think has been about for all of us is the embodiment of what we generally refer to as sourceness. So, source, God, creator, universe, divine. We could all use different terms, doesn't matter, but it's the embodiment of it. So it's again, this has happened over multiple years, but it's not we go out there and do something or get something. No, we're living it and creating living templates of reality for how it looks like to live a quantum life, a transcendent life, a, you know, call it whatever you want. And that embodiment, I think, is such a massive, massive thing for us. And I think that probably answers your question. In the embodiment, it's not something you think, oh, I'll go be transcendent. Do you know what I mean? It's like you just kind of roll with it, live into something that's kind of ever newing itself. And where it really shows up for me is when I have opportunities like being with any of you or all of you, and we're doing big work, and or I'm doing a coaching call with somebody, or I'm having a conversation and there's a breakthrough. That's where it just it's just an automatic pop into a transcendent alchemical space, I would say. So the more opportunities you get to do that, the more you get to, you know, play in it, kind of thing. So, oh, and the other thing that came up yesterday, sorry, I'm now rolling with stuff, but is the joy that emerged this year. Like out of this summer, this joy just burst forth. I notice everybody's nodding their head. Like, and when we do big work now, the joy is on people's faces. It's not like, oh, the world's in trouble. We've got help. It's more like, woo! Like, here we go. We're sourcing a vibrant, new, exciting, dynamic world, universe, etc., creation. And that to me was a big breakthrough. I don't know quite if any of you were the ones that brought it through, but that was a whopper this summer. Yeah. So anybody else? What's yours for 2024? Yeah, Colin.
When we were connecting up just now, and I was getting resourcefulness. Now, I was splitting the word up, so resourcefulness.
Yeah.
So lots of full up of source, but it's to do with resource. It's to do with how then we create with that fullness. And I think um, I have a very, what should we say, structured way of thinking. Oh, because having been an engineer over the years, things work or they don't work, and I like to think that I know how it works. So last week, typically we did something, and you suggested, oh well, why don't we do it like Colin does it? And here I am, being love all over the place. And then you just said, well, should we just take that to another level? And boom, we're sort of like, oh, okay, so we what we seem to be doing is moving things that we appear to know how they work, or we think we might, and then they don't work like that. They work like this, and it
Yeah.
seems to me that we're getting used to the idea that the structures are different. There might be structures, but they're different. They're more fluid. They flow differently, and they flow from the body. So this idea, that Christine was describing, how we're embodying this newness, but we can't actually necessarily describe exactly what we think it is.
Yeah.
But it kind of doesn't matter because we know it's good. We know it feels good. It feels joyful. We're happy, and we're flowing. We're flowing with this newness.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
I think that's for me. That's how it's developed this year particularly. But in the last weeks even, it seems to be accelerating the level of understanding or awareness or the sense of beingness
Yes.
is amplifying rapidly.
Yeah. And by the day,
Yeah, yeah,
this morning I was on a call with three players, and I said to them, so first I was a human being, then I integrated my greater being, then I became a source being, and I said, I don't think I'm a being anymore, unless maybe I go shopping or something, but I think I've become an era. Like I was like, where did that come from? And what is this? And what's beyond being? And like it opened up a whole new territory of consideration and discovery. And I don't know what all that means. I only know it's how it feels in me. And I'm not saying anyone else would feel like an era. That's just particular to me. But it's interesting that there's this constant movement that you're pointing to. And that's so much fun. So where people used to be resistant to change, now it's like, bring it on, like bring on the discoveries, bring on the adventure, bring on the next new thing. And it's like an exploration and an adventure for me as well. So yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, Madeline.
Really have no idea what. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'll just bring you my Christmas candle. There's a little reindeer and a Christmas candle, just for Christmasiness. I really don't have any idea what you mean about embodiment. I mean, what is this embodiment you're talking about? I mean, I dress up as a unicorn, but um, yeah, I have yet to explore this embodiment thing. Well, actually, I'm joking, but actually, I'm sure there is a lot more to
Yeah.
embody. Today, I'm being Rudolph with my red nose. Just in case anyone's wondering, it's sort of oxygen. It's the fizz that gives me whiz. But I just wanted to speak to what Colin was saying and you were saying about the acceleration. I
Yeah.
nearly put a post on Facebook going, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because, uh, well, in the last couple of days, a few new projects have come to me, which I think, do you know what, I might actually do that.
Yeah.
And then some other opportunities appeared. So I was supposed to be trying to practice my piano part for I'm playing in the Magdalene Chapel tomorrow night for the Avalon Magdalene concert, so I'm very thrilled about that. But I couldn't actually get anywhere near the piano because all these opportunities kept flowing in and all these
Mm.
people, and it's just been effortless, but so fast. It's been a bit sort of whoa, which is probably just us making up for the fact that we've had a certain amount of time. It's gone in waves. So we've had phases of, oh, not much happening. And then, oh, we're just climbing out of the pit. So that's probably why we're having an acceleration. Everybody else has probably been going on a nice, even keel. And I don't know, the universe seems to be saying, well, you've got a lot to make up for. So it seems to be sending an awful lot our way. Not an awful lot, a marvelous lot.
Yeah.
Just literally in the last 3, 4, 5 days. And may I just say one last thing? We're very excited because on Sunday we actually went out and put our first leaflet flyers all around Glastonbury, anywhere that would take a leaflet. And they're advertising our unicorn party. So we haven't put out many, but it was just very exciting. When you've been here for 3 years, watching other people do their leaflets and do their things. And I sort of feel as though I'm moving out of, sort of spectator phase
Yeah.
and looking at what everyone else is doing. And then finally woke up and thought, well, I'm not a million miles behind where these people are, and maybe I could do my own thing. And oh, and then great excitement. I bumped into Loka Bandhu, who's the new Buddhist mayor here. And at 3 o'clock in the morning the other night, I thought, oh, I don't know, I'll just invite him to this little concert we're doing tomorrow, just on the off chance, because I met him at the Unity event and we had a very interesting conversation about different faiths. And I said how studying Buddhism had helped, with my Christianity. And anyway, there I was dressed up as a unicorn. Well, I went to this, it was really weird. I went to this Sufi sound streams. I was interested to hear how the Sufis do chanting. It turned out I arrived on the day that Syria collapsed, so that was a bit bizarre. And Loka Bandhu was there, who's a Buddhist. So he came up to me and he said, "Ah, I didn't know that unicorns came to Sufi sound streams." I said, "Well, I didn't know that Buddhists came." And then he said to me, "Are you a rainbow unicorn?" I said, "Yes, I'm every colour and none." And he said, "Well, are you that as well?" I said, "Well, yes, yes, why not, you know?" So just had this funny little interchange. And then I felt emboldened by that to invite him by email. And I just had an email back saying, "Yes, I'll come to your event tomorrow night." So that's very exciting and nice that
You know, Madeline, the difference in you in a year is over the top of anything I've ever seen for anybody. Would you all agree with that? Yes.
Oh, whatever do you mean?
So if anybody's watching this and thinks unicorns, like it's really, I think for you, it is a unicorn thing, but you do it so beautifully. It's not done silly kid-like. It's done so beautifully. And it's really, I think, about a kind of magic in the world. And a belief in whatever people believe in. It's got this kind of free-flowing acceptance to it as well, like unity in a way. It's a beautiful thing to behold. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, yeah.
Look at poor old Dean. Look what I've roped him into, the poor man. He is used to it though.
Hey, Dean. Love the hat. Wonderful. Yeah.
He is. Yes, he is wonderful.
Okay, so anybody else? Breakthrough 2024. Yeah, Christine.
I just share one more thing. I have to leave early today, but when you say breakthrough, the the level of releasing, letting go, breaking through old narratives, old paradigms, noticing patterns,
Yeah.
whether it's thought patterns, whether it's behavior, whether it's, oh, I always responded that way to that person, that's changing. The breakthrough of, and I think it goes back to your embodiment, the breakthrough of embodying my power of choice in the world and not just my 3D world, right? Just choosing to be the power, the difference of, oh, I'm co-creating with the divine, the universe, it's out there, that it's all here, starting here, deep core, heart core. I am that life power, source power. Take it to whatever level you want to call it,
Yeah.
transcendent power. There is an understanding, an experience that is so new. That is, I mean, I would call it a transcendent breakthrough. And this conversation is infused with these new frequencies.
Yeah.
It's allowing it to come through, not just for this beautiful group who I love with all of my soul, but to be amplified and um, transmitted and just broadcast, around the cosmos and the
Yeah.
world. I mean, our beautiful planet, of course, and beyond.
Yeah. Gorgeous. As you
Yeah.
were talking, I thought the other thing that's very evident this year is there is a new reality in place. And it's shifted from an option, I think, to a more predominant reality. There's still the old reality. We still see it, but it seems to be diminishing, diminishing, dwindling a bit. And more people coming into this new version of reality, in which we are collaborative, co-creative, magnificent beings, every single one. The collective consciousness is all life. It's the wisdoms and the intelligences. The expansion of intelligence is another one that's in there, that
Mm.
it's really changing completely. So that presencing of a new reality, the living of it. So the embodiment that we're doing with the beingness, we are living it day to day. It's not I'll sit and meditate for an hour and I'll have it then and then I'll come back and live. It's a living, walking experience in a
Mhm.
new version of reality as an alchemical, transcendent maestro being.
I love
That's how
it.
I would say it. So yeah.
I think just as a little aside, your new short story should be called Solera Becomes an Era. When Solera became an era. Here's your title.
Take the I out of my name and I'm set, right? Oh yeah, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. There you go. Yeah,
Love it.
fun. Brilliant. Yeah. So anybody else, anything else you can think of that's like this year? And even if it's, I mean, you probably don't want to share personal stuff, but even if you've had a personal breakthrough to an elevation of something. Hi, I'm Peggy. By the way, this is being recorded and shared later publicly, just so you know. So, but I think that what happens for us in this new state is we're in presence more. And that presence has a beauty and a richness and an alchemical source creational power to it. So we're walking as that altruistic and alchemical power. I would say that for me, it's not something I have to think, oh, wait a minute. Well, I get that. It'll just go poof, when it's called forth, and there it is. And we've become, I think we've talked about this a lot this year. We've become radiant suns. Do you remember we talked about that in the summer? We've become radiant suns. And I think we've just moved past the radiant sun past to become transcendent alchemists walking, which is slightly different than radiant sun and probably includes it, but takes it to a new level, perhaps. So, yeah, yeah. And yeah, Sheila.
I have just a little small personal example since you asked for it. In the past, I've had this story in my life that I didn't like Christmas because I've had difficulties as a kid with it, and divorced parents, blah 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 story, right? And I've always been a little bit uncomfortable at this time of year. But this year, with this whole, joy thing happening in through and as me and as the world and all that, I'm like watching Christmas movies that I never wanted to watch before, like Polar Express and Love Actually, and everybody would say, oh, you should do this, Sheila, blah blah blah, and I'm like, ew. And this year, I'm having so much fun with it all. And that's a very different reality for me. So
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Yeah, we're having fun here too.
Yeah.
Really great fun. Yeah, it is true. And Adriana was saying on yesterday's call how much kindness she sees around her in the world. Like usually she would say this time of year, people are pushing and shoving and shopping, and we don't see any of that here, but then we live in Avalon, it's not even with crowds. And we had like they did a Christmas market in Wales on Saturday, and it was like the streets were so packed, the cars could hardly get through the roads, there was just like jam. But there was no grumpy, nasty. It was, I just, everybody was having such a good time and having these great conversations. There was musicians playing, and there was, it was just this joyous thing together that was quite lovely. So yeah. Yeah, Christy.
I just will share one more thing because the big thing that came through just last month for me was this whole idea of minimum kindness requirement. And it's a framework, right? That like the kindness. So I part of what I've been flowing with my light work is more kindness. So I love that you just shared that example because I am now seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I have called this MKR. Like I am developing this now as my framework that it's minimum kindness requirement, meaning where can I be kind to myself? Like notice it's a way to just call out like if there's some unkind things happening internally, but also where can I exert a minimum kindness externally to my neighbor, to the world, to the cosmos, to my, friend's dog, whatever. Just like, there's been tons of books written about, being kind, acts of kindness, random acts of kindness. But this came through so clearly as such a simple tool. And I love the letters MKR together.
Yeah.
And when I've been sitting with it in this embodiment, I don't know, in this new place, like I see this as like a global
Yeah.
movement of kindness at a whole new level.
Yeah.
So you know what I did? I trademarked it. It is my intellectual property.
Ooh.
And do I know how to trademark something? I do now. So let's just celebrate that breakthrough, because I shared it in one of my coaching communities and my coach took it and shared it publicly. And I was like, what? And then she said, and if anybody tries to steal this, I will come for you. And I was like, people can steal. And I'm like, so someone said, well, why don't you just trademark it, even though it's not fully developed? So thank you for listening.
Fantastic. But you know what that reminds, because I've seen that in a number of you this year, the fulfillment or the coming together of a fulfillment of a greater, I don't even think purpose is the word anymore. I think we've gone beyond purpose, but it's like a grand epic legacy thing. And you can see it coming through in so many of you, like Eliza with New Humanity and Peggy with Divine Design. Kelly's doing a PhD proposal right now on redesigning humanitarianism in the world. And, and it's like there's so many of you. There's like it's something's coming through us that's fulfilling itself in the world. It's probably been brewing and bubbling and been trying to become for a while now. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. So, yeah. Eliza, do you want to say anything about that? Because I used you as an example there.
Yeah, thanks. It's so fascinating. This conversation is so good. And when I came on the call, I'm like, nothing happened this year. And then, but I think that's part of the embodiment. It's like we have so become the integration of all these things that we talk about, that at least for me, I have to sort of look back to see how far I've come. Not that I have to look back to see how far I've come, but to recognize that we are living the fulfillment. So many more layers, right, of that embodiment. And
Yeah.
I'm feeling too at the as embodied as I am in this, as much as it's been alive this year, and as much as we've actually seen some manifestation of it, it's still like the very beginning.
Yes.
Like I'm in another little plateau, I'm in another little womb place of like, okay, what else is about to be birthed? Because I can feel it. I can't see it, but I can feel it moving in me. So, yeah. And I just had this amazing week in Mexico on the beach, and I disconnected from absolute everything. But there was so much love. I've been playing with what if the world was a culture of love, and I see it. The kindness, I've been playing with kindness. I saw it everywhere. It was beautiful. And I got to spend a day with our mutual friend Cesarina, which was just magical. It was the day of the Guadalupe day. And so we were playing. It was just like so magical.
Wow.
And I come home and I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Do you know, you reminded me, because when you sit right here and you kind of forget how it was, if you look back to somewhere in the first 3 months of the year, if you look like a marker moment there for you, because the bunch of us were together here in Avalon. So if you look at March, for example, if you were one of those people, and then you look at yourself today and you look at who you were then, and to me, it's like, whoa, I see myself and I go, I am not that anymore. I'm now this. Do the rest of you notice that if you look? The, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
And it's so easy for us to see it in each other.
Yeah.
Right? Easier for us to see it in each other sometimes than to see it in ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that
which is the beauty
constant
of a group
doing
like this.
that Colin was talking about,
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
like you hardly even notice it. Although I will say, some people are still going through like, whoa, phew, there are days like that where it really hits you like a bomb kind of thing. But at the same point, it's it's a revolving, ever evolving thing now that happens with us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Christine wrote me yesterday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's tune in again because what I'd also love us to talk about is a look forward as well. So you could still be looking at 2024 if you want to, but also like, what do we see coming next year? Not like future predictions, because I'm not a future predictor, but I like to look at possibilities emerging and the streams that are calling us forward to do the work, because that's what we do. We, as the Murmuration of Maestros, we do consciousness innovation, future creation, reality creation. We do stuff that brings new possibilities to life that will redesign, remake the world. So if you want to look at 2025 as well, let's do that. Okay? All right. Here we go. Okay. Do you know one of the things I want to say right off the bat? We're not just looking into the year like we can see how it's going to go. We're creating the momentum that makes the year how it's going to go. That's why for me it's impossible to look at a future prediction for me now because we're constantly remaking, redesigning, surging new things into place. Yeah, and Peggy.
Well, I love this exercise because I already know what's coming into 2025. So I know what's coming for the next 5 months and then after that, and my body is helping me with that. And since this is public, so I won't say the last thing, but for 5 months now, from January to in beginning of June, I have rented a house. It's a couple of hours from Tromsø, and I know what will come there. So now I just went into this feeling and sensing. It's like, it's like living in heaven on earth all the time, 24/7.
Nice.
So
Wow.
this is the first 5 months. And then from there, it will be even more heaven on earth, not at that place, but another place.
Yeah. And when she's doing that, for anybody who's listening later, she's creating heaven on earth for the world. She's not just going to a house and having a personal experience, because that's not who we are. Anything we
So
do, and it's not like we have to consciously go, I'm doing this for the world now. We be it. And because we're alchemists and collective alchemists, it ripples and remakes the field of life that we all get to
Yeah.
dwell in. So yeah, that's beautiful.
And when we talk about that, I want to add something because someone asked me, how did you manage uh, because I did a transformation in myself from an old program into a new one. And in the beginning, I wanted to say it to my children and my family and say, do it this way. Oh, I had a lot of revelation and magic and miracles. But every time I spoke about it, I got more resistance from them. So it was like, no, 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 no. So what I had to do to get them on my journey, it was to embody, to just emanate it out. So the more
Yes.
I became it, not talking about it, but the more I became it, then they kind of, okay, so this is who you are now.
Yeah, exactly. We
So
talked
I
about that.
showed it, not talk about it, but show it.
Yeah, we talked about that last week that kind of you keep rising and everybody you know keeps rising with you like this.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah,
a, it's like, I don't know what analogy to use, but it is true. But you don't have to convince them and you don't have to even for, I think for me anyways, I was going to say for us, but you have to say for yourself, but I don't have any set beliefs or truths that I follow anymore. It's an ever evolving landscape of creation and possibility and newness. That's so every time I think I've got it, oh, I'm there. I've arrived. I've got it. Then a day later, oh, look at that. So whole new thing has appeared. Oh, I guess I didn't have it after all, like it's really quite exciting. So
yeah.
yeah. But for me, what I got was one of the things we've been working on this year is a more super connected collective consciousness of all life forms and ourselves, all of them, whales, beasts, trees, mycelium networks, oceans, the earth, the stars, etc. And originally we would have called what we do as consciousness innovators as collaborative genius fusion. But now we are calling it source fusion because source is so present. And I see when I go into 25 and I'm feeling the momentum of it, it's an ebullient source fusion co-creation that's happening on whole new levels of scale that we haven't experienced before. And it's that creatorness that I think is going to reshape everything in life next year. So that's exciting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Who else? What'd you get? Yes, Centauri Green.
I just want to recount something that I actually have been speaking to Celera about in the last few days. Something which happened in the year 2000 when we were living in this rather rural place. And it was just a lane where very little traffic went down each day. And I wasn't feeling quite so chipper back then. It was Christmas Eve and there was snow on the ground. And I remember going out of the house and just looking up the lane, and there came down the lane 3 deer just trotting down the lane. And it's almost like as soon as they came within sighting distance, quite close, they shot off through a hedge. And darn me, I couldn't find that place in the hedge where they vanished into. And I said to, I wrote something from that experience and I called it the 360 days of Christmas, 365 days of Christmas. And I think that's something that was like a turning point for me in the ability to be able to be constant all the time. Because I think that's what we're talking about. There's a constancy in who we are and in what we do. And with that constancy, you don't have the ups and the downs and the, the toil and the strife, etc. You have an awareness of how your life is being lived. And I said to Salera yesterday that I'm having some problems physically, but and we looked to see why it's taking so much time and why it's going the way that it is. And I said to her, it's like the breath of life is being refashioned. And something is changing inside my lungs, inside my body, and it's requiring me to be aware of it all the time. Hence, quite a bit of time I'm coughing, and the coughing is prompting me to come to this place of clarity. So I'd just like to take you on a journey, if you're willing.
Yeah.
Not just about Christmas, but it could be. It could be about the constancy of life, I don't know. So make yourself comfortable. As if the power of life was something in itself, something that stood in this world and walked on this world and knew this world. And the way that the power of life looked, it just changed things by its very presence. And we are the power of life walking in this world. And we are the breath of life, refashioning all that we see and know and are a part of. And with each breath, if you had the eyes to see the movement of the energy, the forms that it creates, the light and the sparkling interface of things merging and coalescing and creating, you would be in awe and wonderment all the time. And perhaps the greatest gift is to have these eyes, or perhaps to know that you are the presence of the power of life. Or maybe this is just a tantalizing glimpse of something that is still yet to come, to make itself known to you, to whisper into your ears at night. You are being reformed, reshaped, and given a new sense of awareness. And you sense that everything is getting bigger. That there's almost an expectancy. That truly everything is changing. And this term embodiment is no longer the same term with its meanings that you used to identify with it. Because the nature of a body itself is undergoing re-examination. And once you have gone through that sense of awareness of that body is now different and completely reformed and refashioned, then you will find such a jubilation that you have crossed the barrier and come into a different appreciation of the power of life, walking between worlds.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was gorgeous. And it felt like life itself, which I've always seen as something separate, the force of life, um, became even more intelligent, sentient, altruistic, alchemically sentient being. And then it fused with everything. Source, God, universe, divine creatorship. You like all, everything fused into something that I think both lives inside of us and lives in the space around us and in nature and in earth and in life, even more so than ever before. And I was thinking, just as Centauri started, the mysterious and the mythical isn't very mysterious anymore. Do you get that? It's like we can touch it, we can breathe it, we can live it. So it's not like something that's way beyond our understanding or our ability to sense and participate with, partner with, create with, and become. And so it's more and more becoming something we can live into and understand and breathe, just as Centauri was talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else want to share anything you got from that or even the 2025 stuff we've been talking about? Yeah, Lynn.
Thank you for that, Centauri. I really needed that because I was feeling like but it felt like it's really what we're going into, isn't it? It's this interface where life, God, to me, God and life is the same. It's the same, but it was almost like I could sense how it's all morphing through me, at me, with me, through everything. And and it's like being this effervescent sense of beingness rather than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautifully put. Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Anybody else? Yeah, Colin.
Just on the beginning of Santara's talk there, when you were talking about the physical aspects of being, recently had a very, very intense cold around my sinus. And uh, I always think, oh, well, it's not a cold. I'm just getting a download because, that's just the way I translate it. But it wasn't just the way I translate it. There was something at the back of it saying, take note what's happening now. And at the moment, I'm getting stuff coming out and I'm getting rid of. And it's take a note of that was what I'm getting is there's something happening here. You're clearing. There's something going to happen. And this is, like pineal and all the other uh, elements of awareness, if you like, are
Yeah.
being cleansed and cleared, ready for, and it's almost like the vessel is being prepared.
Yeah.
And then when we went through that journey, I could just feel it energizing. Everything was energizing. Everything was being. It's almost like because when we had our thing, I actually just saw us go like warp. Like you see Star Trek, and it's there, and then boom, it's gone, and we're all sitting in the control room traveling at warp speed, and it's quite normal. This is what we do. But we had to be physically prepared for this journey.
Yeah.
I think that's what certainly I've sensed what Santaro is saying is very much that is just recognize any of the physical elements that are changing because they're helping us be ready. And and the other thing I got was my future self saying, I've got my foot on the accelerator. It's okay, don't worry. It's we designed it like this." It's like, oh, great.
Fantastic. You're talking about the physical being prepared. One of the other things that I certainly have noticed this year, and I'll bet you have too, is we're not aging in the same way aging would have occurred before. Like it's very different. And I think we probably all have a sense of that in this group, that it occurs very differently to us. But also we did a lot of work on sourcing the physical body as source and how we'd relate to our own physicality. So moving us towards regenerative capacity that's quite miraculous. We're still playing with it, but I notice now I can do all kinds of things that I couldn't do before with my own self as a physical body. And Julia had a good example of that, didn't you, Julia, this week? Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, very, very briefly, when we were talking before that, when we were talking before, and we look back at 24, it was I don't look back because back doesn't exist it just isn't there. But when we spoke about it, I thought, oh, that's how far we've come. I've come, and this new reality that I'm in is totally sustainable. It's easy. It's sustainable, and it's because of the ease that I thought, oh yeah, that's it. And during the course, I'd lost my dad when my dad passed, and during the course of the year, I had a word with him. Solera was with me, and I said, "How are you doing, Dad?" And he says, "I'm gardening," and I said, "Gardening?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm looking after the stars for you." And he's whizzing round looking after the stars. And he said, "And at Christmas, I get the sleigh out and I go around and I'm throwing out gifts of kindness and love and all that." And I went, "Good on you, Dad, carry on." So there's my dad up there doing this. But I honestly don't feel like I'm aging at all.
Yeah.
And it's not weird. It's just
It doesn't she? Well, they all look good for their age, you know. I mean, when you get up close, you can see.
sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
You're on the naughty list.
Before you do that, so Julia, can I say what happened this week that you fell? Is that okay? Oh, you're just on mute. It's okay.
Right. I'm okay now. Right.
Okay.
There was a reason I fell, but there was a reason, big story around why I fell. But this fall, outside down 2 steps, could have broken my hip or broken something, and it didn't. Here I am. Boop, boop, boop,
Yeah. I've seen her fall 3 or 4 times before, and it takes weeks, months of recovery. She fell this time, and I talked to her, that was Friday night, I think.
Yeah.
And by Monday noon, she was like, "I'm good. Just got a few bruises. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like rolling on, like."
And it's like that they say that for a woman of my age, I should have broken my hip or broken something, and I haven't.
Yeah, it was quite a shift in the response to it, both physically and in the way she related to it. So
this reality that we're in now, it's easy, and because it's easy and sustainable. I think that maybe I'm taking it a bit for granted, if that's the right word.
hallelujah.
It feels so lovely. I agree with everything Colin said, with everything Lynn said, with everything that Eliza said, with everything that you've all said. It's all right, and it's summing up what we all feel. It's just been an incredible year.
Yeah.
And when you said about the next year, and I was having a look at it, well, I couldn't. A normal brain couldn't see because everything's changing all the time and we don't know.
Yeah.
So the excitement of going into 2025 and thinking, gosh, what the hell's there for us next? And it's
loads.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on with the ease and grace that we've had in 24.
Yeah.
outside of this life here, I mean, I've had bangs and knocks and things happen just like everybody else does, but it's this sustainability of this that is just coming through, and
Yeah.
it's so gentle.
Life has a lot more grace to it. And I think that we're sourcing that grace because we can look greater and bigger and higher at what's happening, and because we don't have the same emotional reactiveness anymore, because we're alchemically active in terms of turning any challenge that comes our way into something brilliant for everybody in the world. So that grace comes from us, I think, as well. So yeah, thanks, Mary. So Madeline, were you going to say something, and then I'll wrap us up? So
I might possibly have already said enough, but anyway, I was just, can you hear me okay?
yeah, yep.
It was almost as though the joy of Christmas, I heard a particular orchestral piece called Sleigh Bell Ride, and I've put it on there. And actually, the version that I just selected and put there starts like this. Da, 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 and then I assume it's going to burst into da 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 da. And to me, it was funny that that was the one the universe sent to me just now, because it feels like the joy of Christmas and everything is ramping up. And then next year, all that joy that we've been talking about, and the joy of Christmas, because Christmas is a time when we give ourselves permission to gather together and celebrate and, you know, be a little bit crazy and all the rest of it. Well, not us, of course, we do that all year, but, you know, everybody else gives themselves a permission. And I feel as though I really felt the energy of that, the joy going through next year.
Yeah.
And I was really intrigued by what Santari and you were saying about life force and source and bodies. And I do think that's probably going to be a really profound key next year, something food for not thought and not even embodiment, something. There's somewhere else to go and play with that, isn't there?
Yeah,
So
I
that sounds
agree with you.
exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's give, let's just, yeah, Julia, go ahead.
Please, can I just say, Sheila, go out into your garden and look up and see my dad. He was 100 when he died, and he's up there and he's in his sleigh. Wave to him, and he'll throw you lots of love and happiness as he's galloping past on his sledge.
So sweet. I love it. Okay, let's just do a super boost for the whole world. Okay, here we go. Oh gosh, that was fabulous. It was just like, woo, you know, just really zinging kind of thing. So
happy Christmas.
yes, happy holidays to everybody.
Best time, whatever time.
Yeah.
Happy
And
holidays.
we don't have a call on Christmas Eve, but we do have a call on New Year's Eve, which is going to be an open public call, coincident with the global wave that starts in New Zealand at midnight their time on the 31st and goes all the way around. So there's an event for it on Facebook. So
Yahoo!
Yay.
lots of love.
Celebration, yes.
Lots of love. Have fun.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.